Good day. My name is Teresa Barton, and you are at the Guardian Network. We talk about different subjects and try to give information that makes decision making and how to specifically care for elderly and disabled folks a lot easier. We're a big network of professionals who've been together, known each other for years and years, and we're a great resource to come to when you're not sure what to do. Today I want to talk a little bit about the difference between understanding guardianship, adult guardianship, versus advanced directives. So think about it like this. Advanced directives is you, in advance of need, saying what you want done about everything. Your person, your property, your pet, anything and everything. The concept behind advanced directives is it is a clear instructions to everyone what your wishes were. One of the struggles for anyone who has to make a decision for someone who is their loved one, possibly elderly, maybe they've had a stroke, really knowing that you're making the decision that they would have made in that same circumstance. And the point of advanced directives is it makes it real clear. If you are a person who has a religious belief about blood transfusions, or you have a belief about a particular medical process that you never want to have happen to you, or you absolutely do want to have happen to you, if you document it well, then the person who would be in charge of that decision making, let's say you appoint a healthcare surrogate, maybe it's your sister, and you say, I believe that medical advancements are happening so fast that I want everything done, do it all, do everything you can to keep me here on this earth. Then your sister has very clear written instructions that not only will she know that she's making the decision do you want, but if she got any sort of kickback or argument from the medical world, she could say, this is what my sister wanted, this is well documented, this is what we're going to do. It gives her the authority as well as the power and the confidence to do exactly what you wanted. So healthcare surrogate is an advanced directive. Another advanced directive is a living will. That's where you document your wishes of what you would or wouldn't want done. Generally, most people think of healthcare surrogate as it relates to end of life. Whether you would want artificial feeding, there's a thing called a PEG tube, which you often might hear someone talk about, which is a tube that is put into your tummy to feed you when you can't eat orally. This often happens after a stroke when you've lost the ability to make your muscles work to swallow. So the option of a PEG tube is done, but that's something you have to want because it is in essence artificial life. You can't stay alive without eating. There are many kinds of artificial life. There's CPR, there's breathing mechanism that is done to keep you breathing. All these are things that are done to keep you alive. Now the question is it to get you over a hump? For example, you're in a car accident and you are given oxygen and you stop breathing, so they intubate you to keep you breathing. That is more along the lines of temporarily. The question is, would it become permanent? Would the accident have been you had such severe injuries that you now can't breathe on your own? Then it becomes a permanent breathing mechanism, and now it is true life support. So a living will, a good living will, lays out your belief system and your wishes and your wants. And a healthcare surrogate is a person you name to sort of administer or facilitate that living will. These are all advanced directives. These were done in advance. You said and documented what you wanted done if any of this stuff could happen. Another form of advanced directives are powers of attorney. So you hear of something called a durable power of attorney, and that relates to your health. It also can relate to your property and your assets and your real estate and your checking account, but let's focus on the person part of it. So a durable power of attorney allows an individual, maybe a friend, a family member, your brother, your aunt, your wife, whoever it is, to have the authority to make decisions for you when you can't. Now, I didn't do my legal disclaimer in the beginning, so I'm not an attorney and this isn't legal advice. This is practical discussion for you to understand better what happens out in the real world. So if you name someone on a durable power of attorney, and that gives them certain authority laid out in that document, it can be very extensive, or it can be one item that you give them authority and permission to handle. That gives the providers, the doctors, the banks, if it relates to finances. It gives the title company, if it related to closing on a sale of a home, authority that durable power of attorney can take those actions for you when you're not able. So advance directives are what you choose in advance of the need, well documented. Typically you're doing these documents at an attorney's office. Now I know you can go onto sites and purchase these documents maybe through, LegalZoom, or you can buy them. It always makes me nervous when people buy documents online, because there are nuances that I don't think those programs can keep up with. Spending the money to meet with an attorney who knows this stuff, who's very well versed in it. Part of it is because they know it. Part of it is because they're going to learn to know you. How do you think? What do you believe? What is your own belief system? So that those documents reflect that. If you are a person who believes that you don't want any medical processes done, you want to pass off this earth however it happens by nature, that needs to be well documented. If you are a person who believes that every single possible medical treatment there is, you want to stay here, then that needs to be well documented. So the better created these documents are, the more likely they're going to work for you in a time of need. So advance directives are exactly what they sound like, in advance, before you need them. They can relate to your person, or they can relate to your property. Advance directives that relate to your person are things like a living will and a healthcare surrogate. A durable power of attorney can do both. It can do just about your property, or just about your person, or a little of both. Depends on how you wanted the document created. There's also a document that people talk about often called a DNR, do not resuscitate. And one of the misunderstandings of a DNR is that it is a do not treat, a DNT. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as do not treat. But people believe that when they hear that. DNR means do not resuscitate. It doesn't mean don't treat. If I stop breathing or my heart stops beating, that's what it's for. It's to not bring me back again. It's to not do CPR and to try and to not bring me back again. A DNR is something that you yourself, or possibly one of the people you've assigned to you, a healthcare surrogate, or the courts have assigned to you, a guardian, can make the decision to sign a DNR for you if you are not able to sign it yourself. A DNR means I'm in the state and the condition that I don't want to come back. People often choose to have a DNR as their life advances, and they've got multiple medical conditions, and they have decided that if on their own, if their body says I'm done here on this earth, don't want to breathe anymore, my heart doesn't want to pump anymore, that they don't want the heroic measures to bring them back. One of the reasons for this is CPR, not like you see on TV. Doesn't look like it is on TV. It's not how it looks. It's nothing like that in the real life. One of the problems with CPR on a frail person is it does a lot of damage. It's very easy for ribs to get broken. It's very easy for the esophagus to get torn when they're trying to put tubes down to force someone to start breathing again. It doesn't look anything like television. So many people believe that if someone has a frail body and they're already fighting many diseases, that if their heart stops beating or if their lungs stop breathing, they're ready to go. And they should have the right to be able to go. So a DNR allows the doctors to not bring them back, because the doctors want to treat. They want to help. That's why they became doctors. So a DNR is an advanced directive, advanced of the need, and it's saying, don't bring me back if I stop breathing or my heart stops pumping. And that's the whole concept behind advanced directives. Without advanced directives, physicians, health providers, facilities really have no option but to pursue almost every avenue until it is pointless. And that happens a lot. It happens often. Nobody really wants to watch someone pass away. It's very painful. It's very sad. But to be there with someone when they're passing away, knowing that's what they wanted, and to try to give them comfort. That's what the goal often is in end-of-life care. Another day we'll talk about hospice and how that works, kind of correlates with the DNR, but we're just going to stay with advanced directives and guardianship today. So the difference is advanced directives is something you chose, you did, you documented, you had all prepared. Guardianship of an adult is generally not something you chose. It generally happens because you didn't do the advanced directives, and there isn't someone who has the legal authority to handle your person or your property. There isn't someone that the doctors can rely on to make medical decisions for you. There isn't anyone available with the legal authority. The perception that we might have that my husband or my sister or my adult son can make medical decisions for us is a little off. There are rare occasions where there is a hospital environment. It's not typically in the community, but in a hospital environment where someone can be called your proxy and make medical decisions for you when there isn't anybody else available. There is no healthcare surrogate. There is no person named on a durable power of attorney. There's a friend maybe willing to make decisions for you, and the hospital is sort of stuck with, it's not a strong authority, but it can be used occasionally. A proxy is not an advanced directive. It's an at-need situation that happens because the hospital doesn't have anyone to make medical decisions for you. It's not a very powerful position, and it's not very helpful when things get really difficult. So guardianship happens because there wasn't any planning, or if there was planning, it failed. For example, maybe you did these documents 20 years ago, and you named your sister, who passed away many years back, and she was named as your healthcare surrogate, and you didn't name anybody else. Or maybe you named your husband as your durable power of attorney, but he passed away. He's not around anymore, and you didn't name a successor person. Part of the reason why I want you to consider going to attorney to get these documents done is they help you walk through the reality of, okay, so you named your sister as your healthcare surrogate. If your sister is not available, or if she passes before you, who then? Who's your second option? And the attorney's conversation with you is to help you figure that out. You know, their name is counselor of law. That's why, because they're counseling you. They're helping you figure out what to do about these things. So guardianship generally happens because there wasn't a plan, or the plan that existed wasn't very robust and didn't have a lot of options. And advanced directives happens because you took the time, you spent the money, did the thinking, and made all the tough decisions of who would be making decisions for you if you couldn't. So that's the difference between advanced directives and generally guardianship. I just want you to kind of have an understanding about that. I'm glad you joined us on Guardian Network. We're here often talking about all these subjects that relate to elderly folks, folks who have disabilities. We deal with all of these issues, and we're more than happy to help. Feel free to like us on Facebook and share us on Facebook. And if you ever have a question, you can post questions, and you'll see me again. This is Teresa saying goodbye.